Hi, everyone. I'm going to share a couple of points about the broader context in which pretrial risk assessment algorithms are used that we think researchers should be mindful of when doing this work. The first point is that focusing only on fairness in prediction and error is not enough to ensure that fair decisions are made based on the estimates produced by risk assessment algorithms. Judges and magistrates use those estimates as one piece of information out of all that they consider when they're deciding whether to detain or release a person, whether to assign bail or pretrial supervision. Their interpretation of those risk estimates affects their decisions. So does their choice about whether to consider those estimates at all. And there's evidence that when the risk estimates are considered, more people are released pretrial. But there's also evidence that some judges and magistrates are resistant to considering those estimates, or that they may be more likely to deviate from estimates for some groups, like people of color or people with behavioral health needs, more than other groups. So, efforts to establish or evaluate the fairness of risk assessment algorithms cannot exclusively focus on the algorithm and its predictions. It's critical to recognize that the application has as much of an impact on fairness as the algorithms themselves, and maybe more, because the fairest algorithm won't result in fair decisions if it's not used or if it's misused. We also want to encourage researchers to consider that when they engage in work with algorithmic risk assessments used in the criminal legal system, they're not just contributing to a discussion about how to develop a fair algorithm. They're contributing to a much larger discussion about the values at play in decisions made in the criminal legal system. And they're contributing to a discussion about what practices are worth advancing. And this is not at all to say that researchers shouldn't be doing this work, only that it has broad ethical implications that can't be overlooked. The last point I'll share is that we really want to encourage researchers in fields like machine learning, AI, and other technical fields to engage with researchers in fields like psychology, forensic psychology, criminology, and those related fields. These are the fields that have produced existing algorithmic risk assessments and the fields that are training the people who use the assessments in practice. So, understanding the practices in these fields can provide important insights. For example, the creation of criminal legal system datasets often take years and many resources. It requires establishing relationships with local jurisdictions, and a lot of decisions are made through the process of collecting, cleaning, organizing, and merging data from different sources. Knowing all that goes into data collection can help researchers avoid having to make assumptions about the data. Another example is the fact that the field of forensic psychology follows a couple of specific sets of standards for assessing accuracy and bias in pretrial risk assessment algorithms. Awareness of standards like these could help clarify some of the decisions that are being made in research coming out of that field. And we provide several examples of these standards in our paper. Finally, there are established guidelines about how risk assessment algorithms can and should be implemented to inform decision making, and these guidelines are rooted in legal and ethical obligations. New research may be unlikely to see uptake in practice if it contradicts the way risk assessment algorithms are actually being used, or if it contradicts the way that they have to be used based on those legal and ethical requirements. And I know I've been brief with these last three examples in the interest of time, but we do expand on these more in our paper. At this time, I'm going to hand it back over to Michelle, who's going to finish presenting our work. Thank you so much.